Well, hello folks, and welcome to another splendid edition of the Bill Crane Report.
On a splendid day, too.
On a splendid day. Looks as though summer may be finally approaching here. Yeah. And Dwayne Weiss is here at my side, and we're going to struggle to give you another dynamite show. But I would like to start off with the following picture. This we've talked about before, about the young people really enjoying our show. And here is a picture of a young lady when she first saw our show. Look at the happiness on her face. I told you folks, we have made big inroads with the young people with our show.
Well, you can tell by the crowds in the morning when we come in here.
Yeah, but why do they have bricks and rocks in their hands?
I think that's a prop.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, you know what, Dwayne? I've got like 6 or 7. I'm absolutely got to get to stories.
Well, let's jump on them then.
However, shall we do a warm-up first?
Sure, go ahead.
Either or. Take a nap or go for a walk.
Now let's take a nap.
Yeah, I prefer going for a walk. Swim in a lake or in a river?
Oh, lake.
Yeah.
I'm not even too sure about that anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Too many slimy things swimming around.
Lake Pearl is still clean, and so is in Lake Archer. Yeah. They're beautiful. Be the judge or be the jury?
Judge.
Okay, yep, you're right.
I saw a little bit of the Reed case, and I thought, that looks like an easy job.
We'll get to the Reed case a little later. Cheddar cheese or Munster cheese?
Well-aged cheddar.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Live next door to a cemetery or to a morgue?
Cemetery.
Yeah, be quieter. The morgue has got,
You can always go for, if you got a dog, take the dog for a walk in a cemetery. I know people do that.
Yeah. However, I met a couple from Mansfield, rational people who bought a house in Mansfield, and he was telling me we got a real good buy on this house. Unfortunately, as time passed, he began to realize why it was so cheap. It was at the edge of a cemetery.
Yeah.
And it was the oldest part of the cemetery. And they had to move. Because of the things that were going on in the house. He said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but we'd get up in the morning and there'd be drawers open in the kitchen.
Stuff.
And there'd be noises. And a rocking chair would rock all by itself. And then you'd feel things in the night. And finally, my wife said to me, we're out of here. Yeah, but...
when you said living next to a morgue, I had an account years and years ago down in the Cape, one of the fancy little towns. There was a morgue or a funeral home next to a hardware store owned by one of the grouchiest, grumpiest old reprobates you've ever seen in your life. I even hated to go in with him, to see him. And he was always fighting with that funeral home because people would, if it was a big funeral, they would park in his lot.
The gall.
The gall. And so he started charging $20 for a funeral for to park over into his lot. And I thought, you damn fool, you're trying to run a business here in this town. Everybody knows you. And I've heard comments that they would drive clear to Hyannis so they wouldn't have to deal with this guy. I said, if you would just say, okay, here, park over here
Sure.
for the half an hour, the hour. He had a lot of public parking. The goodwill that you would generate, you'd probably get 10 times back in the business. But all you're doing is ticking off your own neighbors here. What a stupid...
Believe me, I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, the new firehouse is being built.
Yeah.
Okay, across the street from it is a large white house. There's now a two-family. And behind that is this broken down garage. You've seen it 1,000 times.
Yep.
Well, back when I was a kid, that was a general store, one side of it, and garage. And there was gas pumps out front. George Campbell owned it. Stubby Campbell. The world's grouchiest man.
Yep.
You'd go in there. He would sell newspapers on Sunday, and there'd be big bundles of all the newspapers, and there was like 6 newspapers back in those days, Boston papers, and you'd register with him, and he would have your bundle ready
yep.
on Sundays. So I'd go in and I'd say, as a kid, they always sent me in. You know, they'd drive me up there, but I had to go in and pay him and get the papers.
Nobody wanted to deal with him.
Yeah. And I finally realized why. Because the first thing he would say to you when you walked in the door, what the hell do you want?
Yeah.
Every Sunday I'm there.
Yeah.
But what the hell do you want?
I'm just here to torture you.
Yeah. Gee. When you're 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah. That's a different.
Leather or cloth seats?
Cloth.
Yeah. Luxury cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rainstorms or snowstorms?
Oh, rainstorms.
Yeah, you don't have to
You
shovel
don't have to
rain.
shovel it.
Yeah.
And it's not slippery on the road. And
Well, we're batting 100%
Yeah, right.
here, you and I. Host a morning or a late night show?
me morning,
Oh, okay, I'd do the late night
late
show.
night.
Be
I
a
get up.
pharmacist or a doctor?
Never had any desire to be either, actually.
Yeah.
Today I'd probably be a doctor. No, I'm not sure because some of the doctors I know are just totally disgusted with it.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe pharmacists today.
Yeah, the pharmacists now are getting up in pay.
Yeah.
So that they're not anywhere near a doctor, but they're not working for nickels and dimes
Yeah.
anymore.
I know
yeah.
a couple physicians that are
Yeah, and
on the
if,
verge of getting out of it or changing it to something else.
and a pharmacist at 5 o'clock can shut and lock the
That's
door.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And he's not getting calls at home. And
Go 30 days without music or TV?
music.
Yeah, me too.
I go 30 days now without it, I think.
Yeah, although I like background music, country and western stuff, and some classical stuff, and big band stuff. But yeah, I'd be lost without the TV, quite honestly. Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Conundrum. Apple.
Yeah, me too. Peanuts or cashews?
Oh, with me it's dry roasted peanuts.
Oh, I like the salted peanuts.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're salted, but they're dry roasted. They're dried.
Yeah. Full-size donuts or donut holes?
Full-size donuts.
Yeah.
Although I do buy the donut holes at BJ's, the big buckets there.
Yep.
They're made in Canada. They're delicious.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm glad we got beyond that.
Well,
This morning on Fox News, they had one of their contributors on, a young man by the name of Jones. And he said something very interesting. Because they were bantering. And he said, I'll tell you what my mother taught me when I was a little boy. Lie, and then you cheat. And then you steal, and then you kill.
Yeah.
He said, you nip it in the bud by not lying. Because as you go on, it gets worse.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Because
you
you
know-
get used to it, that fun type of life or
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah, I thought that was profound, from a mother to her son, kind of
That's right.
thing. Now, here's something that I found very interesting this morning. 79% of the people polled in this latest, by the way, there's polls coming out your eyes now, but 79% want to see the Biden-Trump debate.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah. 71% want Kennedy included as the third man.
I can see why. You make it a real clown show.
Yeah. It's interesting because this 71%, I'll bet you 35% of them are Trumpers and 35% of them are Bidens.
Oh, absolutely.
Because both camps think that Kennedy is going to hurt them.
That hurt them, yeah.
Yeah, so
exactly.
they
They're
do not
both
want
of them think that he's after us.
Yeah.
He's going to take our votes away.
But it's interesting that 71% of the people. Now, by the way, in Norfolk, I saw the numbers. Used to be, you'd be a registered Democrat or a registered Republican. And there was a small percentage, relatively speaking,
unenrolled,
independents.
yeah.
Now, it's perhaps 5 or 10% Democrats, 5 or 10% Republicans,
Yeah, most everybody's moved into the middle.
and everybody has become an independent. That's interesting.
I have.
Yeah.
I'm unenrolled on it. But
Take
except
either ballot,
take either ballot. But
Yeah.
I do it by an individual, and I don't have to fool around with it. About the debate last night, I forgot who it was. I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but I'm terrible with names. He's the head of something to do with the national debates and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And not the debates that the TV people put on, but there's a national thing that does that. And he wants to.
They choose the site where
Exactly.
it'll be
That's
held
exactly
and,
right, yeah.
and all that. And then they work to make sure that it's a good area and that they're all set and all the
because of the
planning.
way it has gotten into being a clown show. And one of the contestants, debater, cannot behave. They really want to pushing for one. Mike's controlled by the moderators. Moderators will not be a CNN or an NBC, MSNBC, or a Fox. It'll be somebody out of industry
How about a retired judge?
yeah, like that, or a general, or military people. And the biggest one, no studio audience.
Yeah.
If there was, they cannot be heard. This yelling and whistling and clapping for everything is so disturbing. People are so mad at that their 90-minute debate, 40 minutes is taken up with people yelling and clapping and screaming.
Absolutely. And if one crowd whistles and cheers and everything, the other crowd has to do it louder.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
it just keeps on feeding.
And then you just got
off.
chaos.
It is chaos, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So I was happy to see that. And they have to sit.
Yeah.
no walking around.
Yep.
And they have to be able to shut his mic off.
Yeah, you got a minute and a half to respond, and at the end of the time, he said we'll put a timer up there, and he'll see it, 15, 14, 13, and when it goes to 0, the mic's off.
Yep. And as long as the candidate at that point doesn't yell.
Yeah, then he tries to yell instead of the mic. Yeah.
One of the little news clips this morning, I get the show all set last night, and then I watch the news this morning, and I always find things.
Oh, of course. I take the morning newspaper and I sit there with a cup of coffee, and I thought, well, no, I already got a lot of stuff here. I don't need.
The Biden administration is frustrated by events in the Middle East. They had wanted by now to move many of the prisoners from Guantanamo Bay to prisons in the Middle East. But, and then with
How
the
many
ultimate,
left in Gitmo?
I think we're down in the teens.
I think I was going to
15
say
or
20, 30 someplace.
yeah.
That's all.
And they're the baddest of the bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know why in hell we don't just execute them. I mean,
Bill, but you can't do that.
No.
I think you got to have a natural calamity up there. Something natural has to happen.
Lightning strike the building.
Or a bunch of wild, ravenous tigers got into the cages somehow.
Wow. Do they have those in
No,
Cuba?
but it could have been a circus or something. They got loose.
Well, the Biden administration has been planning to move the prisoners to the Middle East, to jails there.
I wouldn't move them to the Middle East because
No,
somebody's
but
going to
that's
break them out.
Well, they're Middle Easterners, you see, so their families can visit them. And with the ultimate goal of then closing Guantanamo Bay. Once again, cowardly attempts to appease. They don't dare do this. They're afraid now of the optics with us sending bad people to the Middle East with all the problems that are going on there. You know, when are we going to start doing what's right for America? And stop worrying about shadows and...
That will happen. It won't happen because that'll happen when we are not run by politicians.
Oh, so it's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
I understand now.
Politicians live by images, perceptions, not fact, but perceptions of fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And perception is so much more powerful than the actual event.
And it wasn't always that way.
No,
Politics wasn't always that way. If you go back in our history, we've had politicians that if push came to shove, he'd say, for the good of the country, I'm going to resign. And he'd walk away. But not today.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean,
Well,
they can be so bad and doing so much harm, and they'll still lie and try to stay the course.
Nixon resigned. LBJ essentially resigned.
Just said, I'm
I'm
quitting.
just not going to run. Say what you will about those two guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They saw the handwriting on the wall and said, I can't do this. I really and truly believe that both of them said, for the good of the country,
Yeah, I do too.
I have got to get out of the way.
Richard Nixon today, people would go, so what? They wouldn't think what he did was any great deal.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at
Not by
all.
today's standards.
And LBJ was the most ruthless businessman and politician. And boy, you crossed him and you were dead meat.
he was just not just a politician. His own personal life, I think, was that way.
Absolutely.
We went to LBJ Ranch in Texas one time. We were down seeing a lot of our Texas friends. And, they give you the guided tour. And there was probably 15, 20 of us in the group. And they're showing us the crops. Oh, my God, they were beautiful. Everything was just green and bountiful. And they had a lake there. And there was a dam on that lake. It was some kind of river.
Yep.
They dammed it up, and they were sucking the water out. So some guy had the audacity to ask, well, what about the guy that's next downstream? He's not getting any water from this. His place don't look like that. And that girl did the damnedest to change the subject. She did not want to talk about that LBJ's ranch sucks all the water out of this little river that wasn't any bigger than this, wider than this room, probably about this deep. Oh, well, we're going to talk about that. I said, yeah, right. If he wasn't president, there would have been all kinds of rules and regulations about sucking that river
You better
dry.
believe it, yeah. That, hooray for me and screw you.
Yeah.
That's, oh, man. Elon Musk. We're not going to get too deeply into Elon Musk. He's a brilliant businessman.
Yeah.
But he has the audacity to ask for a $56 billion pay package. I haven't read that much about it. I think
For what?
it's
I don't know.
for his taking care of all his companies, SpaceX, the Boring Company.
Why taxpayers' dollars going into that? I don't.
No, it's coming out of Tesla and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But,
Okay. I thought he was.
all of his enterprises,
Yeah.
and like taking them and squishing them and putting them in one jar and saying, I want $56 billion to run these places. I gotta believe this is spread over his lifetime.
Yeah.
But is that reasonable, Dwayne?
Bill, I couldn't tell you because I don't know. I can't deal with them kind of figures. I don't know what these guys really do.
Yeah.
And how their income. Of course, you get Tesla.
Yeah.
I can't see where SpaceX, unless there's a lot of government contracts, where that could even break even.
I think SpaceX is really going to. Yeah, I think that can be a huge moneymaker. But it's amazing. I went to Sweden. I worked for a company that was owned by Sweden, Swedish people in Falun, Sweden, and the people. They had a neighborhood party for me as the guest. And there was, I don't know, probably 15 people in the director's house. And we talked about things and just meet Bill and let's talk about America. And it was interesting as hell. What came out of it, though, was interesting. People in Sweden do not think that any single person should be paid more than $2 million a year. If he is the smartest guy in the entire world and is running the most successful Swedish company, $2 million is tops.
They have a modified socialistic
Yes, they do.
idea of stuff. That's not necessarily bad. It works for them.
It does work for them.
It makes them happy.
However, this is way off the subject, but in Sweden now, happiness is hard to find.
Okay.
The immigrants have destroyed the little enclave that was Sweden.
Yep.
6 million people.
They change their way of life.
Yep.
They don't want that.
Yep. Crime.
Now, years and years ago, one of the guys that I had in my office in the Army, he had just come back from Europe, and he and a buddy, we were talking about what it was like in serving in different places in Europe, and I don't remember which country he was in, but he and his friend took their 30 days and bought a Euro rail pass, I think they called it.
Yeah.
The 30 days they could ride all these different countries' railroads. They were going to start in Sweden up on the top and then work it all the way through Europe.
Yeah.
He said, we spent 3.5 weeks in Sweden. He said, it was so nice and so much fun. There was so much stuff to do. People were so friendly and the girls were beautiful. He says, we never left.
You know, I was over there a couple of times, and I had this idea they were all like Anita Ekberg or tall,
Yeah,
blondes,
leggy,
and, just
yeah.
built like crazy. They weren't.
No.
Most of them were brunettes,
Yeah.
and anything but glamorous. Nice looking, but they did not tot themselves up.
No.
And the other thing, too, was they were the sauciest people, girls I ever met.
Yeah, that's what he
I
said
mean,
too.
there was nothing soft-spoken about them, I'll tell you. I mean, they were fun, but I'll tell you, you weren't going to put anything over on them.
No, and if they liked you, they let you know.
Yeah. That was interesting. So, getting back to Elon for a second.
Yeah.
Do you ever envision us putting some sort of an upward number on pay for an individual or a head of a corporation in this country? Or is it fair?
No,
Or-
I don't think that'll ever happen here. But
No.
should it? I can't tell you because
It's
I don't live in that world.
It's
I don't.
what a guy brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's what he does for the corporation. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I
if
do
a guy
know.
makes $20 million a year and he brings X dollars, if he made $10 million, would he still bring the X dollars? And the answer is probably yes. And at some point, it does get to be looking out in. It looks like greed. Maybe not looking in and out because I can't do that because I'm not in. It's hard to say because at what point does your compensation become much more than an ego satisfaction? Money can't do it anymore. At a certain point, you can't spend it.
Right.
What are you going to spend? You know, even at an income of, I don't know, today, what would be $5-10 million? You'll never spend it. The first year or two, you're going to go crazy. You bought 3-4 houses. After that, I don't need another house. I don't need this. I don't need that.
I get corporate annual reports.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a stockholder, you
Yeah, I
get
do.
and I'm amazed at my memory is not perfect anymore.
None of us are.
Apple, Microsoft, I mean, they're paying their president, CEO, 60 to 90 million dollars a year. Now, does that guy earn that?
No.
No, he doesn't. But he's like the guy playing chess. He's the one that moves the pieces around.
He signs his name on the bottom line, but the work was actually done by next layer, next layer, next layer, next layer, all the people that are experts in those fields. They're the ones that are making the meat and gravy decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're not paid anywhere
nowhere
near
near.
what he's paid. But they all, the American dream, you work your way up the ladder.
Somebody's got to be the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be. We're not a socialist country.
No.
And that is why I think the Biden is probably his biggest weakness.
Well,
going into the election.
I don't know, but for is Biden, but I think Biden comes from a party that historically has always been that way.
He's the head of the party. And
Yeah,
he's
well,
running.
I mean, that's the party line. It's always been that way.
But Bernie Sanders and the squad has certainly taken the Democratic Party and moved it
Oh, well,
to the far left.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're going beyond socialism. Anymore,
Yeah.
some of them, they're getting into some really, really radical areas.
Yeah. By the way, President Biden yesterday revealed exactly what the problem, in a speech, what the problem about getting inflation down is. Corporate greed.
To a point, he's got a point. Because we've gone into what's called a comfortable price pointing. And I can see that it's happened in the meat industry. It's happening in the automobile industry, where you get to the point where you and I we make, I don't know, rubber balls. And you and I are the only manufacturer. Well, there might be other manufacturers still, but we're getting $1 a piece for them. I said, nah, I'm going to get $1.25 on mine. And Bill over there, he says, now, capitalism says that I'll stay at $1, or I might go to 95 cents and take the business. But I don't think so. I'm going to $1.25 also. So he says, that way I won't have to expand my company, I won't have to put out any more money, and I'll get that much more income. So then I see you at $1.25. I said, well, hell, I'll go for $1.35. And, the same thing. And we just keep balancing out. The airlines did this years ago.
Sure.
One would go $219 to Syracuse, and everybody within 10 minutes was $219 to Syracuse.
Have you ever been to Franklin
A couple times.
and driven the entire strip and said to yourself, every single gas station
Oh, yeah. You watch
is
that.
at 359.9.
Yep.
Except for the no-name gas, Smiley gas.
Yeah, there's one downtown,
They're a
yeah.
nickel or a dime less.
You're exactly right. See,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. That's the whole thing there. That's what happens.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think Biden's all wet about corporate greed is what has caused inflation. But I think the one area where the manufacturers are taking advantage of the situation is the food markets.
Oh, my God.
Well, we got the price of bologna up to $3.99 a pound. Now, our costs have come down, but the people are buying it at $3.99.
It's called a comfortable price point or an accepted price point. And they can get it. We're not going to change it.
That's right. That's exactly
That's
right.
why, particularly grocery prices, you'll see at certain points will say there's a shortage of something, and then it spikes. Then the supply increases. You think it's going back to where it was? No. It may go down 10 cents or a little bit, but it is never going back where it was, because the consumer has gotten used to paying $9.99 for a steak.
That's right.
Instead of $4.99. So the package said, why the hell should we go back to $4? They've been paying $9, they'll pay $9.
And if they don't, they'll come around.
It can happen to the other way, too.
Yes, you can.
When I worked for Stanley, they came out with a 25-foot tape rule with 1 inch wide. It was going to be retailed at $19.95. It's a big thing, but really nice tape rule.
It'd have to be for $20.
At $20 it was, but everything else, the smaller ones are like $17.9 or $16.9, $14. But they made a mistake putting it out with the dealers, out of the distributors, for like 30 or 60 days introductory, so the stores could sell it at $7.99. Well, that set up a price point.
That was stupid.
When they took that price support off, nobody would touch it. They said, "Well, wait a minute, the damn thing was $7.99 at True Value last week, and now it's $19.99. I'm not buying that."
That is so stupid.
They could never get back the price.
No.
Black & Decker did that with their little 1/4 inch drills. Every Christmas you could buy them for like $12.99.
Look at the automobile manufacturers that are building the electrics. Oh, well, we can get 80 grand for it. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we'll have to cut the price 10%. And now, how many times has Tesla cut the prices on their
Well, yeah,
cars?
because there's resistance to
That's
the.
right.
It's not the cost of the manufacture it; it's what the price-value relationship is in the market.
And it's what Joe Sixpack will pay for it.
Price-value relationship.
That's right.
Uh,
The University of North Carolina, Charlotte, has become very offended by DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes.
And they have canned the whole DEI experiment. And they have done away with the DEI committee and their budget. Their budget was $2.3 million. And guess what they did? They transferred the $2.3 million to the campus police
Good.
budget. Now, there is someone that understands what the problem is.
I am not comfortable at all. In fact, I despise education, universities, colleges, high schools getting involved in political posturing.
They should be teaching kids how to think,
They
not
should,
what to think.
And they should be teaching the subjects that they're supposed to be teaching and not putting a spin on it.
Yep. Do you know, back in high school, I had a teacher, Jack Jordan. Jack, well, he's got relatives that are still alive, I suppose. Jack was a different type of teacher. He was math. He said, he would come in really hot under the collar. And he'd say to the class, he says, all right, you want to do math problems and have a math test? Or do you want to listen to me blow my stack? And, well, guess what we said?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, blow away.
Yeah.
And he'd rant and rave for the full 45 minutes or hour of the class about what he was PO'd about. And it could be politics. It could be the guy that couldn't tune up his car and was charging him outlandish amounts of money. It could be an argument he had with a neighbor. But Jack was not teaching us math.
Nope.
And he was getting away with that and pulling the salary.
Yeah.
And pulling the salary for being the football coach, too.
This week in the paper, in the Globe, the Mass Teachers Association, the union,
I like that.
is having all the conniptions. How are they going to approach the war of the Gaza and the Israelis and that? How are they? And the bottom line is, it's none of your concern. Your concern is how many teachers you can hire, at what rate, what's the retention rate, how much pension have you got for your members. You've got no business waddling into world affairs any more than the Boston City Council used to vote on whether Red China should be admitted to the United Nations.
Oh, the Boston City Council the other day voted for a ceasefire in the Middle East.
Oh yeah, I mean it's stuff that they have no bearing on and no dog in that
I'll be
fight.
willing to bet you, if we invited the Boston City Council to come sit down with us and do a show with us, and we asked them questions, I'll be willing to bet you we'd get blank stares.
Oh, absolutely.
From they are brain dead, half of them.
Yeah, that is such a political dump job.
It's a political stepping stone.
Yeah, or just
I'll get elected to it.
There's a bunch of them that's a dump job. I'll take my $130,000 a year and do nothing,
Yeah.
and then I'll stay there for 22 years, and then I'll get my pension and do nothing.
Yeah.
That's all that is. They just dump them in there.
Yeah. Or as I say,
Or
I get elected to a citywide. And now my next trick is to get elected statewide, and wow, I could become a rep down in Washington or something.
Some of those guys are. Look at that. I was one Flynn.
Yeah.
One of his kids is sitting there. He's not a kid anymore. He's an
An
elderly,
man in
an
his-
old man
I
already.
think
But
he's 50 or so.
yeah, he's comfortable. You know.
Well, he's not comfortable anymore. And in fact, I don't know whether he's running for re-election or not.
I don't know.
But
But anyway, I said that Mass Teachers Union, stay in your lane. Don't.
the Chicago Teachers Union wants $50 billion in wage hikes over the next 10 years. They want paid abortion for all its members. They want new migrant services and facilities and a host of LGBT requirements and trainings. Yet, and this is at the negotiations they're having right now for the new contract, only 21% of the city's 8th graders are proficient in reading.
I think that's pretty high.
They want 9% wage increases through the year 2028. The average salary in the Chicago public schools is $93,000 a year. By 2028, it will rise to $144,600 a year, which is double the median household income in Chicago. Last year's schools spent $21,000 per student compared to a national average of $14,000 per student. And my remark is, and the kids still can't learn.
Well,
It's all about feathering their own bloody nest.
Well, of course it
It's
is.
not about educating kids.
but watch a teacher strike, even though they are illegal. They're never out there for their own raise. If they're looking for 5% or 8%, it's for the children.
Oh, this you hear it here in this,
Oh,
in this
absolutely.
town. We need that new school.
It's for the children. Yeah.
Yeah. The kids don't care.
No, they don't care.
They could sit outside for all of that in the sunshine. Leave it up to the kids. I mean,
If you let somebody for some reason, schools have gotten out of control.
unions.
Yes, unions and empire building.
Yep.
I remember it wasn't too long ago that either Newton North or Newton South built a new school. And it came in at $52 million. Unheard of. Unheard of for that much money. Attleboro just spent 5 times that on their school. They have atrium where the kids walk in, there are trees and stuff in the lobby.
Monkeys up in the trees too?
Probably. They spent, I don't know, what was it, $50,000, $75,000 for a blue A out in front of for Attleboro. Lit up at night in the Attleboro blue, saying, well, we have to project an image for the people coming to this school.
How many bathrooms do they have that are labeled different genders?
I don't know, but it's
Probably
but
about
my
11 different shots.
My point is, stop wasting your money on this kind of things. Get back to make sure your lab's got enough Bunsen burners and there's enough books and everything else, and stop worrying about whether you got an atrium or you got a big A out front. Well, now you watch the news, North Attleboro is now rattling, well, they got this, so we got to have this. They're spending, what was it, $500,000 on a scoreboard on their field? And one of them put some kind of turf in. Now the turf has got, AstroTurf or whatever's got to come up because it's got rubber pellets or something in it, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, they got that in the National Football League.
Yeah.
The rubber things.
But now the big $500,000, $250,000 scoreboard, they can't run it because it doesn't have enough electricity. It takes some kind of big thing, so they have to redo the electrical rate. Well, now of course North Attleboro, I'm sure, is looking at Attleboro's high school and saying, we need a new one now. They got one.
It's for the children.
It's for the children.
Yes. A couple of quotes from New York leaders. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York.
Yep.
Black kids in the Bronx don't even know what a computer is. Isn't that charming?
Yep.
Gee, does she paint with a wide brush?
I think so.
What was the point that she was making?
I don't know. What?
That is just, you talk about bad optics. Mayor Adams has got to be the stupidest man in the world. The migrants should be hired by as lifeguards because they're all great swimmers.
Now that I don't know where that came from, but
What? And he is the mayor of New York?
that sounds like somebody's. He just does. That doesn't sound like him.
It was him, and I saw the clip.
Okay. Unless he was being facetious.
Was he being facetious? They swam across the river, Rio Grande,
Yeah,
or
I
something?
think I think that was a facetious
well,
remark.
you know
He's
what, that's
former-
a subject that
he's
he
a
shouldn't-
former, law enforcement.
Yeah.
So he's
Supposedly, yeah. I guess he was, yeah. But if he was trying to joke, that's nothing to joke about.
I think he's being sarcastic, actually, but I don't know.
I don't know.
You can't trust.
Politicians.
You can't trust the news programs. I can't. I cannot go to Fox for news. I go for Fox for propaganda, but they're so spinny now. God, even Hannity you can't trust anymore.
See, I feel the same way about CNN.
CNN will
and
give you 50%
MSNBC.
news. MSNBC, forget. NBC is one end and Fox now is on the other. You got the various ABC, NBC alphabets here, someplace in the middle. But my God, I try to watch Fox, and I got last night again. Hannity was it last night?
Well, you
Off
see, that,
the wall. That
that
stuff
is
that
the,
he's.
that is the talk show end of Fox.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. You pick up Fox in the afternoon, they'll tell you what this happened and what
Yeah,
happened.
the
That's
basic
not a
news, yeah.
problem. But it's any of them after 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, but you know what? When you get Anderson Cooper at night, you're not getting any better.
No, well, he's not a
roses
news people person anymore. He's an editorialist.
Yeah. By the way, this is a little blurb out of the local Norwood newspaper,
Well,
out of the police log.
Okay.
Now, I want to know if this happened in your neighborhood, exactly how you would react. Phone 1414, vandalism report. Follows location address, Nichols Street. House vandalized at 2 a.m. with a bottle of urine and a dead bird.
I don't know how the hell those go together, but okay, 10 Bill. Bill, 10.
This is amazing.
Oh, the other night, you watched that On Patrol Live.
Yeah.
Was it not a couple weeks ago? They pulled it. They were searching this guy's car. And they pull that out, and he said, "What is this?" The guy says, "Urine." Hey, urine? He says, "Yeah." He said, "What are you carrying that for?" He says, "It's clean urine in case I have to do a drug test." He says, "You can buy it in the gas station." I said, "Oh my God." I don't know. Maybe some nuns or something are donating it for prayer charity. I don't know.
You know, I really and truly have, I can't be amazed anymore.
No, you think you can't go on with something, and it just takes it another step.
I've been watching too at the end on Fox, like on Friday nights I watch the Barron Roundtable at 7:30, and at 8 o'clock it goes to the half-hour cop shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fox Business runs those at
Yeah.
night. I switch over there. Sometimes there's not else on any place else.
Yeah, they're much tamer
Yeah.
than on patrol, but they're getting some better ones. You know, my wife is amazed at what goes on with these people, but we've got a part of society that is just lost. Drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, and what in hell are we doing about it? Well, we're closing down mental health facilities. I mean, we're doing that in Massachusetts. We shut them all down. Boy, I'll tell you, get them out in the community.
Mainstreaming, Bill.
Yep.
Mainstreaming.
Money saving.
Well, it's money, plus it's just the way they justify it is you got these progressives that say dignity. They want to be humanly dignified.
Yeah.
They don't want to be separated out. No more special education in schools. If the kid, through no fault of his own, obviously, and he can't function, you put him in a class with regular kids because he doesn't want to feel, well, he's not comfortable in a regular class. And they don't realize that he don't want to be there most of the time.
Until he acts out.
Yeah, that's why
and destroys the whole bloody
thing for everybody else.
Yeah,
yeah.
The learning process. It's madness.
Oh, it's craziness.
And it's done for the wrong reasons. Dwayne, refresh my memory. At the last show, did we talk about professional jurors?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We
Put that
mentioned that
note
we should
away.
have professional jurors similar to English.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I believe so too. There's
Yeah.
no question about it.
Bernie Sanders was quoted as saying, Gaza is Biden's Vietnam.
Yeah,
Think about that.
I think that's a valid statement.
Yeah. Because he certainly has mishandled it. Well, the Ukraine war also. I mean, how do we help Ukraine by holding back on
You don't.
supplies?
You don't.
No, and it's as though they want a stalemate. So that everybody will say, all right, let's sit down and negotiate. That's not going to happen with the Russians.
No.
I mean, this is madness.
Yeah. Well, we got people in Congress that are so obstructive to some of these things.
Yeah.
That blonde idiot from Georgia there, what's her name?
Oh, she should
Green.
be locked up and put away.
Oh, God.
Mike Johnson is the new Speaker of the
Yep.
House, and I think he's doing a hell of a job.
I-
He's reached out to the other side of the aisle.
I had my doubts at first, but I came around on some of his stuff, yeah.
And if you look at polls, the American public wants to see bipartisan
That's right.
cooperation
Get it
in
done.
Washington.
Get it solved.
He's doing it,
5.
and the MAGAs are gone
oh, my God.
mad.
Yep.
Well, and the squad has
Yeah,
gone
the
nuts
squad. Well, you
also.
can't prove both sides, but one side or the other
Both
side.
ends
Yeah.
of the spectrum, yeah. By the way, 80% in the latest Gallup poll of the U.S. supports Israel in the Middle East in
Yeah,
this war.
I would say that's probably true.
Yet, look at the coverage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Does not reflect that at all. It's so much of it is Hamas. So much of it is the Palestinians.
Well, look at the coverage they gave of the colleges.
Yeah.
And the
Well, that's it,
occupation
yeah.
of these things. They, no matter what the Palestinian pros did, the news was right there. I mean, and then some Jewish kid would get the hell beat out of them. They wouldn't even cover that.
Dwayne, what kind of a country do we have where a young man walking down the street on the Sabbath, on Friday, is wearing the little, excuse me,
Yarmulke.
folks, the little beanie,
Yarmulke.
for lack of a better word. I don't know what the
Yarmulke.
exact term is.
Yarmulke.
Yarmulke?
Yeah.
And he's set upon by morons that
Yeah.
beat the crap out of
Oh,
him.
yeah.
What the hell kind of a country have we got that allows that? And you know what? Those morons are brought before a judge who releases them on their own recognizance.
Hell, I don't think they even get to the station. He releases them right out of the bus.
Back a few years ago, it was handled differently.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
They would have got their asses kicked.
A few
which
years
is
ago,
what they need.
But we punish people then for wrongdoing in those days too. We don't do that anymore.
You know what? Where are the Hells Angels when we need them? They'd take care of the matter.
Yeah, they sure would.
Short order. Ay, ay, ay. Dwayne, interesting. Something to finish up on the first half of the show. What percentage of U.S. adults drink alcohol?
You mean just ever?
Okay. Let me back it up. Let me change it then. What percentage of American adults say they abstain totally from alcohol?
Okay, that's totally abstention. 20%.
38%.
38%. That's higher than I thought.
And adults, which means adults, 62% drink alcohol
Yeah.
from time to time. Now, heavy drinkers in this country, in the Gallup poll, July of 2023, heavy drinkers were 14 drinks a week,
Okay.
2 drinks a day,
Yeah.
and women, 1 drink a day.
Yeah.
Okay? What percentage in this U.S. are heavy drinkers? By that definition.
25%.
5.1.
5.1.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't doubt that that's the number that came out.
Yeah.
I just doubt sometimes people's response.
Yes, I agree with you. And I doubt also because I wonder who they're asking.
Now, good point. If you took that 38% that are totally abstain and say, how many Southern Baptists do I have here?
Yeah.
They may not, but they're going to say they do.
They do. They're closet drinkers.
Yeah, exactly. When we come back, we got to leave, but come back. Let's pick up there
Okay.
of an experience in Las Vegas with a couple of Southern Baptists
Okay.
in the casino at a show.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So, folks, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. So,
Okay.
go get a couple more cans of Miller High Life or whatever, and we'll be back.
Make me a martini.